Hey, hey, good morning. How is everybody? What's going on? I'm at work. I realize it's a little messy behind me, but that's okay. I'm a little messy. That's the truth. So I'm okay with it. What are we going to do? That's all right. I always laugh when I do lives at home because I've set my desk and everything up in such a way that on camera things look very ordered, and then there'll be clothes all over the floor around me, but nobody knows that. Well, now you do. Secret's out. But yeah, no, I'm a messy person. It's true. And that's okay. We've been talking about chaos, and I have a call going on right now, or a series, Creating with Chaos, and we just finished day 2, and it has been so much fun, and it has created so much just joy in my life. It's crazy. Just the last 24 hours since we started have just been there's so many things happening, and you can still join. I've had a bunch of people actually join today, so you can join until we're done. We finish Saturday. We're taking a day off Friday, so if you're 4 days, you started yesterday, it doesn't make sense. But yeah, I think the link should be in this thread somewhere, but you can always go to my website, drmelissamahan.com /chaos is the actual webpage to register for that. But that's been really fun, so I totally encourage you to come play. The amount of money that has showed up since we started, it just doesn't even make sense. It's awesome. So, but I wanted you to talk to you. Today actually is money, and I wanted to look at this topic of, are you charging enough? And this is a topic that I love to hate. I talk about it sometimes and I'm yeah, I can give other people great advice on this. And then I won't implement it myself, which is really funny. And it's just come up a ton in the last couple of weeks, and in different areas. And I'm yeah, this is the topic to talk about today. So first of all, as of I guess yesterday, I am officially a Joy of Business certified facilitator. So I'm so excited about that. And all of these business topics are things that just light me up. They just I don't even know, my whole world just expands so much when I play in the energies of business. And it's so funny because it's something that I just didn't think I was good at all or had any capacity with. And as it turns out, it's an incredible capacity of mine. So I'm just really, really grateful. And I do have a Business Done Different class on the Access books scheduled December 2nd through 5th. So you can register for that. I don't even have it on my website yet, but if you go through the Access site, it is up and ready to go there. So if you're looking for a Business Done Different class, this is going to be epic. And I'm doing it online, so you can join from anywhere in the world. I'm super, super, super excited. But on that topic, as we've been talking about business and all the things, this topic of, are you charging enough, first started a couple weeks ago when I had dinner with a friend. And it kind of led into a conversation I had yesterday. So like I said, it keeps popping. But I was having dinner with somebody I hadn't seen in a long time. And I ran his bars, and then we went out to dinner. And he said to me, he's why wouldn't you do everything that you're doing for free? I don't really understand why you have this psychologist business. Why wouldn't you do all the Access stuff for free if it changes people's lives? And it put me into a little bit of defense. I needed to justify why I would charge for this. But I looked at it for a minute and kind of did this barriers down thing that I talk about. I was okay, what is the truth of that? Why am I not willing to do this for free? Even though I do actually quite a bit of things for free. But when it comes to Access bar sessions or Symphony of Possibility sessions or classes or things like that. And I said, I have done things for people pro bono before. It isn't as though I never have. But those are the people who will change their appointment 3 times, who will no show for appointments, who will try to make me wrong for something, who those are the people who actually can't receive whatever it is that I've gifted to them. And so that has just been an experience over time, and that's obviously a generalization, and that's not true of everybody. Though I will say that it continues to show up where often if I'm oh, I'll do this free thing for this person, then they don't see the value in it. So recently I gave away a free bar session. It was a raffle thing. And the lady ended up finally coming this weekend, and she was lovely. But up to that point, she rescheduled the appointment 3 different times and was like, oh, can you actually do this time? Oh, can you do it on this day instead? And it was really clear to me that she just didn't value it because she wasn't paying for it. And this last time, because this I think was time 3, she rescheduled. And I finally said to my husband, look, if she like says like, oh, can we reschedule? I'm just gonna tell her like, no, we're done now. You know, you could go see this person, or this is my rate, because it started to feel like a burden on me, and then I became resentful. And so be willing to look at that, where if you are feeling like guilty, or if somebody's like, why would you charge for your services? Why wouldn't you give this away for free? That people really don't value what they're not paying for. And that is just the way it is in this reality, in this society, in this moment in time. Might that change someday? Maybe. But right now in business, people don't value what they don't pay for. And so Gary Douglas was saying this the other day. I don't know what I was listening to, something where he said, people who don't pay for, people who pay for something, I guess is how he said it. People who are paying for a class, a service, whatever, will tell 10 of their friends how great it was and will recommend you to them because they've spent money on it. If somebody gets something for free, they'll tell no one. And I was like, wow, that's really interesting. And there's definitely a truth to that. If you think about anything you've spent money on and you're like, oh my God, this was so amazing, you'll tell your friends like, hey, I took this class, it was fantastic. I mean, that's often how like Access Bars is primarily word of mouth, is somebody says like, hey, I took this amazing class, you know, it was Access Bars, you know, you should take it. Here's the person I took it with. I mean, that's how I heard about it. And I think that's how I told a ton of other people about it, and how that actually spreads, because you've spent money and you've invested in something and you're like, wow, this was awesome. And then you tell people. So on the other end, as a business owner, think about that as like, when you're charging for anything, like, will people actually see the value in that? And so I was really grateful that he brought that question up to me, because it forced me sort of to look at like, why do I charge for things, and why do I charge as much as I charge? And it is because I've found over time that actually the more I've brought my prices up for like individual sessions and things like that aren't like covered by insurance over time. And I found that the more I do that, the people who show up actually want to be there and actually are asking for change. And they're showing up, they're making time in their world for it, and they value it. And then they tell their friends. And then I have recommendations coming in from other people. And the more I charge for sessions, the more I see that. I got an email, I'm sure actually a lot of people got an email from another certified facilitator who I respect the hell out of, the other day, that said she was going up in her prices. And there was a time that I was working on her team, and I had said to her like, hey, I know you're charging like a lot, and I think you could charge a lot more. And it was cool for me to see that email come out, that like she was doing that. She was actually charging more now for her individual sessions and things like that. And, you know, she kind of said like, hey, my prices are going up on this date, so if you want to get in with me before that, you know. And I was like, what a cool invitation, because now she'll get people in before, and then when her prices go up, it's showing how much more she values her time, and that people will be willing to pay it. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. And I've heard Gary Douglas say as well that when people are paying him for a session, it's like, how much would somebody have to pay him to not ride his horse? Basically, that like, that's what his time is worth. That like, as much as he loves working with people and all the things, he also really loves riding his horse. And so it's like, all right, well, it's a matter of how much do I need to pay so that this is actually fun enough for me that I can not do something else that I'd like to do. So when you look at like what you're charging, whether you do individual sessions with people, you do classes, you know, obviously some classes in Access have set prices, but when you're doing like your own classes, things like that, and you can set your own price, have you looked at like, how much is it that I need to be charging this for people to be able to receive it, and for people to actually see the value in it? And how much would I have to charge for it to be fun for me, where it doesn't feel like, oh, I got to do the thing now. Like, oh, I gotta do this class. Oh, I gotta like see this individual person. Like, how much would you have to charge that you're looking forward to that hour, or whatever that time is that you're spending with a person doing a class, whatever it is that your service is? And if you're not charging enough for that to be fun for you, would you be willing to actually look at that? So this also came up yesterday in my team with me, which is like where I was like, okay, this topic is like like everywhere. And it's been up in a while. And I've actually had like other people, like clients ask me about it too, and have brought up like, hey, you know, people have kind of made me wrong for my prices and all the things. And I'm like, cool, they're just not the people that are willing to receive from you. And that's okay. And they'll go away, but they were never going to receive from you. If you offered it for a super low cost, they still weren't going to be able to receive from you. And if you offered it for free, they definitely wouldn't be able to receive from you. So acknowledge that too. So I was looking at my own stuff yesterday with my team a little bit, and I actually, like, this came up from various members of my team over the course of the last few days who said to me, I really don't think you're charging enough. And my one friend on my team and I had dinner the other night, and she was like, you know, I got to tell you, I don't think you're charging enough. And I was like, wow, all right, thank you for, you know, for saying that. And I had looked at it a little bit, and then somebody else on my team said to me yesterday, hey, like, I'm really looking at the energy and I really don't think you're charging enough. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting, like how that's pinging people. And I really had to look at it because as a certified facilitator of Access, I've only, in my world, right, my reason and justification was that I'd only been a certified facilitator since May. And it's October, it hasn't been that long, it hasn't even been 6 months. And I was like, oh, but I'm still a newbie. I'm still like new, you know, as a certified facilitator. Although I've been facilitating Access bars for years, I was trying to like limit myself or make myself small or make myself less than in favor of like, oh, well, the other people have been doing it longer, so they should be able to charge more, but I really shouldn't. And I was like, wow, that energy sucks. And like, do I actually want to like put that energy out into the world? And so everywhere that you're limiting yourself because you've decided that like you don't have something long enough, you don't have the credentials, you don't have the experience, instead of acknowledging what you actually know, would you be willing to destroy and uncreate it? Right, wrong, good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. And if you've never heard that before, that's the Access Consciousness Clearing Statement, and you can go to theclearingstatement.com to get more information on that. But basically, we just pull up the energy of something, and we use that clearing statement to kind of like just knock out all the places that we created that in any, you know, space, dimension, reality, lifetime, all the things. So have you been a CF from when you chose it? You may have been one longer than you think. I love that. And I was actually just talking about this. What was I talking about then? And I think maybe it was in that Creating with Chaos, that, you know, there was a time where I was like, oh, but I'm not a CF yet, so I can't even look at the energy of my business as a CF because I wasn't a CF yet. And I was facilitated into looking at like, hey, is that actually true? Or have you like actually been playing in the energies of being a CF much longer than you like had this certification as a certified facilitator with Access? And so I would say that to all of you in any business that you're doing, anywhere that you've decided that you're not that yet, like you haven't had that many years of experience, or you're not this, like you have this business that's in your world, but you haven't quite created it yet. Please acknowledge that once you have the thought, the idea, like it's already in creation. You've already like started to put that out into the world, even if you've done nothing with it, because the idea itself is already the universe rearranging the molecules to create that business for you. And you just have to be willing to actually receive it. So everything that brings up, we just start to create it. Right around good, bad, pod, poc, all 9 shorts, boys, and beyonds. And so, this whole thing of like, would you be willing to actually see what your value is, and that people will receive you so much more. So in that conversation yesterday morning, as we were talking about this with my team, I said, you know what, screw it. Like my next like energy pull will be pretty much double the price of my last one. And I said, I have no idea if people are going to register for it. I have no idea if people are going to show up. I have no idea. And I don't care. And not from a space of not caring about people, but of like, let's just see what this creates. And choice creates awareness. And let's see what happens. And how much fun can we have with this? And the energy changed. And I had to pot and pock myself quite a bit. So I was like, oh, but what if nobody does it? Everything that is, I've just brought it up and I was like, nope, pot and pock, destroy and uncreate. And my day got just so interesting. Part of it was we started this series, Creating with Chaos. And so there was so many energies going on. And that energy was one of them. The way that we started the day was this conversation about actually being willing to charge more, to value my time, my worth, all those things. And my day expanded. I had somebody like pay for foundation, and my foundation's a few weeks away. I like had somebody else register for a class I'm hosting. I had like 3 more people register for Creating with Chaos. Like so much happened after like we kind of had that choice of like, hey, we're going to start charging more. And like, let's just see what shows up. And I don't know what exactly will show up from that one choice in that one linear space, but I can tell you that it created something different in my world of being like, no, like I valuing myself and like, hey, like I'm freaking awesome. And whether anybody knows it or not, or acknowledges it or not, I'm willing to be that for me. So everywhere that you haven't been willing to be that for you, to acknowledge your greatness, even if other people can't receive it, or even if other people are receiving it, but you're not receiving that they're receiving it. You follow that? Well, you destroy and create that. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, pock, all 9 shorts, boys and beyonds. And what would change in your world if you were willing to actually charge what is fun for you? And would people value you more? And would you value you more so that you didn't even care what other people thought because you were that for you? That. Cool. So I don't know if I have a whole lot else on this topic. Like, that's all the things. So something to play with is just start to look at like wherever you have things that you're charging, whether it's, you know, whether you do coaching sessions or you do, you know, body work, bar sessions, body processes, SOP, like wherever you're doing like individual sessions with people, where you're, if you're teaching classes, if you're doing kind of anything else that is like you're choosing your fee for service, or you're choosing a fee for a product. You know, I think about that a lot too, where, hey Kathy, where people aren't, like people are selling their products for way less than they could be. And sometimes I'll see like a product for sale, like somebody's, you know, like at a craft market or something, and somebody has like a higher price on that. And I used to be like, oh, that's so expensive. And I'm like, oh, go you. Like you're actually valuing the materials it took you to make that thing. And like to still actually make a profit on that. I see so many people do business where like they're either losing money or they're just breaking even. And then it's not fun for them because they actually kill their business with it because they're like, well, this kind of sucks. I'm not really making anything. And, or they've gone into the like, but I just do it because I love it. So it doesn't matter if I make any money on it. And if that were totally true, great, but it never is. There's always an energy underneath it of this kind of like poor me, pathetic thing going on. And so would you be willing to actually like charge what you find fun and what would be of value to the rest of the world? So I think that's all. I adore you guys. Thank you so much. This is such a fun conversation, and a conversation I think I've avoided for a really long time. So sometimes the things that we're avoiding are the things that actually create the most in our world. So I would just have fun with this and start really looking at like, if I was willing to charge more, if I was willing to charge enough to make me uncomfortable and yet for it to be fun, what is that number actually? And would you be willing to choose and just see what it creates? Even if it like doesn't create what you expect it to create, or it's not linear or anything else, but just to like see what happens and to be like, oh, cool. Well, choice creates awareness. Let's choose this now. And please don't make yourself wrong if somebody's like, well, that's too much money. I've had people do that a lot when I've like first raised prices. Like I brought my bars price up for bars sessions. I don't know when, a couple months ago, and somebody like had kind of a like icky reaction to it. And I was like, sorry, like that's, you know, that's what my price is now. And, you know, and I said, I have lots of other people I can, you know, refer you to who are charging less than me. And that's totally okay because that's what it's worth to me. And the people that are willing to pay that are actually getting even greater change. So please be willing to acknowledge that, like, not only is it you valuing you, but that people will experience greater change when they're actually paying more for what you charge. And, you know, this has come up, I keep saying I'm done, and then I'm like, oh, let me talk about this for 5 more minutes. Sorry, I'm mostly done. But Gary and Dane have talked about it in their access classes, because people will often have a point of view about how expensive access classes are, but they're like, that's what people need to pay to actually receive the change. And I've often said, I have spent a lot of money on a lot of like personal development kind of things, and most of the time I'm like, I don't know if that was worth it. I have never, ever, ever, ever had that point of view about an access class. It always is like creates dynamically in my life. My whole life changes every time I take an access class. And is it because of the money? Is it not because of the money? I don't know. But what I can tell you is it's changed my point of view about money, where now I'll be like, oh, it's only this amount of money, where in the past that would have been a massive amount of money. But it's completely changed the whole paradigm of the way I see money. And I'm grateful that Access charges as much as they do, because it has changed, it's completely actually changed the whole way I function with money. And so how does it get any better than that? And what if you were actually willing to be that for other people? And what would that create in the world? So now I'm done. Have an amazing rest of your day. And I will see you next Wednesday with some other topic that I haven't come up with yet. Like I said, you can still join Creating with Chaos. We go through the weekend. And there's a gifted SOP on Sunday. You can also sign up for the SOP individually, but it's the same price as Creating with Chaos. So, make your choice there. And what else? There's just a lot of other things coming up. I have a Talk to the Entities class I'm hosting for Brandy Nelson here in Chicago at the end of the month, October 29th and 30th. So Halloween weekend. And I have a foundation here in the Chicago suburbs the following weekend. So it's like November, whatever that first weekend in November is. So come join me for that too. I want to say it's 5th through 8th. I think that's what that is, November 5th through 8th. So that's like lots of things coming up. And there is a new energy pull series, Quick Ease with Money, starting I think in 2 weeks. So I'll post all those things in here, but you can always go to my website if you just want to see all my upcoming events. drmelissamahan.com/events, I think, takes you to all my stuff. It might be classes. Go to drmelissamahan.com and click whatever that is. I think it might actually be classes now. We've changed it. So awesome. I will post that link in here just for clarity, and I will see you all later. Bye.